Good day, beautiful people. Such a beautiful day out here, the day the Lord has made, and we shall rejoice and be glad in it. I am still your host, Divine Glory, also known as DG by my friends, and welcome to another wonderful episode of Kingdom Come. Hi there. If you're new, you're welcome. If you're not new, you're welcome back. If you've listened to my previous episode, thank you very much, and please do well to share with your friends, your family, your loved ones, your roommates, your housemates, and as many people as you know that it can bless. And if you've not listened to my previous episodes, what are you doing? They will bless you abundantly. And without further ado, let us go into today's episode. So today we're going to be talking about something amazing, something great. The topic is a bit long. So yeah, the topic is the battle between what you know and what you feel. So as we start every episode, we start by reading our Bibles. So let's open our Bibles to the book of Psalms chapter 13 from verse 1 to the end. And I think the last verse is verse 6. Yes. So Psalms chapter 13 from verse 1 to 6. I'm reading from the NIV version. How long, Lord, will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me? How long must I wrestle with my thoughts? And day after day, I have sorrow in my heart. How long will my enemy triumph over me? Look on me and answer. Lord my God, give light to my eyes, or I will sleep in death. My enemy will say, I have overcome him, and my foes will rejoice when I fall. But I trust in your unfailing love. My heart rejoices in your salvation. I will sing the Lord's praise, for he has been good to me. This is one of the shortest verses I've ever read during my episodes. But let's just go right into it. This is a Psalms written by David when he was going through intense enemy persecution. Now, what was happening in this scenario was not really specified. Usually, some places in the title, it said David when he was running from Saul, David. But they didn't specify, it just specified that it was a Psalm of David. And seeing David, that he has gone through a lot. If you have taken your time to study 2 Samuel into 1 Kings, and you study the life of David, you realize that David has gone through so much, and all this just because a prophecy came to him. So if you really study the life of David, you'd realize that David went through so much that I don't even know how to fathom. And I have a lot of beef with David, naturally. I have a number of beef with some characters, because they're human. It's natural. But I studied the life of David and have the things that David went through. If I had to go through them, I would be having seasonal depression all the time. It was crazy. He was living on edge at every point. He fought, he struggled, the pain he went through, all because someone came and said, you're going to be the next king. He didn't ask for it. He didn't pray for it. The only thing that qualified him was the fact that he worshipped the Lord. And he didn't think when the word came that he was going to face all the things that he went through. I mean, people say that that's why when God tells you about what he has planned for you, he does not tell you how the stepwise process. It just tells you the end, because if you knew the process, you wouldn't go on the journey, which is true, because how David survived through all of that was fascinating, right? Going from someone who just places herb and watches over his father's sheep, and then he's been anointed to be king, and then he wins battle against Goliath, and then he's brought to the king's palace to play the harp. I think he was brought to the king's palace to play the harp before he killed Goliath. Anyhow, then he joined the king's army, and then people started to sing the praises of David above the praises of Saul. People could tell that God's hand was on David. And so Saul obviously filled with the evil spirit, became extremely jealous and was after his life. David had been running from pillar to post. Do you know how much was stripped off from David, how much dignity he had to lose? It got to a point where it was literally at the mercy of the enemy nations. Literally stripped him of his pride, of his dignity, of his ego, of his self-respect, had to pretend to be an imbecile just so that he doesn't die. All these things that he went through. Like, even if you think about Elijah being threatened by the wife of a king, and he just was like, God, just let me die. Like, these people went through a lot, especially David. If there's anything that you would know about David, David knew grief, David knew betrayal, David knew pain. He went through those things himself. He went through being forgotten by his father. Even when Samuel came and said, oh, your children, I want to see them, he didn't think of David. It was when he was asked, don't you have any other son? And then he was like, oh, crazy stuff. David, my last born, he's actually watching the sheep. I don't mind him. Yeah, actually go and send for him. We'll wait for him to come. Like, crazy things. That is, this man went to trauma. He should have had a therapist at this point. That guy went through a lot. But moving on. And so he went through all of these things. And he not only had to be strong for himself, he also had to be strong for 600 others, I think, about 600 others. You know, when he was at the cave of Adullam, like about 600 men came flooded to him. Men of low estate, low esteem, men in debt, men who felt like their life is already over, whether or not they fight with David, allowed David to give them identity, because they had lost every sense of identity in and of their own selves. All these things, he had to be strong, not just for himself, but for them. And one day, in a state of immense grief, of immense pain, he cried to the Lord. And he said, Lord, how long will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me? Now, here at this point, David knew God. No, he did. He knew the Lord. He knew that the Lord was steadfast in love. He knew that the Lord was merciful. He knew that the Lord was not evil. He knew that the Lord was good. He knew that the Lord does not forsake his begotten. He knew all these things. But right now, it was starting to feel like the Lord has forgotten him. It was starting to feel like the Lord was taking forever to answer. It did feel like the Lord has left him alone. He wrestled with thoughts. He said, how long will I wrestle with my thoughts? And day after day, have sorrow in my heart. He felt so much pain. It felt like you kill me, or it's like you let this pain kill me, or you deliver me. He went through so much. He said in verse 3, he said, give light to my eyes, or I will sleep in death. It wasn't, what did they call it? It wasn't a threat. It was a state of being. And right in the next chapter, not in the next verse, like the verse after that was verse 4. The next verse after that was verse 5. He says, but I trust in your unfailing love. My heart rejoices in your salvation. I will sing the Lord's praise, for he has been good to me. Excuse me. But sir, verses ago you said, God, you have forgotten me. And right here he says, I will sing the Lord's praise, for he has been good to me. That is the battle between what you feel right now. A crisis of faith situation where you know all you have known of the Lord, about God, of God. God. You've known God. You've learned so much theology and so much doctrine, and you're sound. You're not sound. You're sound, right? And then all you're thinking to yourself is, I'm done. This is too much to bear. I was fine. I am only on this path because you said you wanted to make me king. I didn't beg for being king. I didn't ask to be made king. I was sitting by myself. You came for me. And you're leaving me behind. Jesus on the cross, after all the pain and enough bore the sins of the world, he yelled, my God, why have you forsaken me? It's a state of immense grief. And at the end of the day, David still chose the Lord. He still chose to lean on who he knows the Lord to be, because there has been a track record of God showing up. There has been a track record of God making a way. There's been a track record of God making things work. He chose worship. See, the world is an awful place. We are already in a fallen state. We are going to experience pain. It's part of it. Even Jesus was like, in this world you will go through tribulations, but be of good cheer because I've overcome the world. It means it's not supposed to drown you. You're supposed to see hope even in it. That is what Christ brings to us. I mean, think about the apostles, what they had to go through. Look at Paul, writing words of encouragement from prison walls. Who does that? Talking about joy from prison walls, bro. Who does that? I don't think Paul never got to a point where he was not distraught. I mean, there was a part, I can't remember quite. I might put the verse on the screen, where Paul cried to God to take away a thorn in his flesh, and God responds with, no, but my strength is made perfect in your weakness. So there are times where the Lord will exercise his free will and not do what you need him to do. And you still choose him anyway. It's the battle between what you know and how you feel. In fact, it's worse when there is a word to live up to. See, if it's just life circumstances happening, it's cool, right? But if there is a word the Lord has sent ahead of time, worse is even if there's a timeline. And then you're walking on that path, and because of the word, you have been sent into a number of dealings. And one day you're just in a pool of your own tears. And you're sobbing. And you're like, God, I think you've forgotten me. 2 months ago, I had this type of experience where I felt like, did I mishear God? Did God really say, what is happening? I was in tears. I was in so much pain that I was like, God, either you take away this pain or I die. Because what is this? I was like, Lord, you've forgotten me. You're forsaking me. I thought you said you loved me. I don't think you do. These were the things that were going through my head. Did I know that the Lord never leaves or forsakes? Yes. Did I know that there's a track record of God never leaving or forsaking me? Yes. Is there a track record of God coming through for me, even in times where I am the reason I am in trouble? Yes. But in that moment, it didn't feel like He cared. In that moment, it felt like He was just watching me suffer and taking pleasure in it. In that moment, I said, Lord, if you still care, just send a word to me. I went to church the next day, and then a brother sat beside me and said, the Lord says that He cares. Did the pain go away immediately after? No, absolutely not. I still struggled with it for 1 more month before I was finally fine. All these things, we're bound to going through pain. But the thing I'm calling you to today, it's not just about choosing God. It's about choosing to lament. Because a lot of times people act as though when you're in pain, when you're suffering, when you're going through so much, and it's starting to feel like how you feel is kind of battling what you know about God, you just have to pretend you're fine to the Lord. You pretend like what you're going through does not affect you, and you start saying things like, Lord, I know you're God, and I know but in your heart, you kind of are angry with the Lord. You kind of feel like God is betraying you. You kind of feel like God has forgotten you. I'm saying there is joy, there is glory in lament, because it allows you to see where you are, and then allows you to make a choice. It's now not about, oh, I'm going through so much, but I don't want to piss off God, so I'm gonna just keep quiet and just deal with it. It's about, this is what I'm going through, and I've voiced it out to the Lord, and after everything, I choose God. That is the glory in it. God is not scared of your fears. He's not scared of your pain. He's not scared about how much you will lash out or crash out at the immense depth of the pain you're going through. He's not scared of the fact that you feel a little bit disappointed that the Lord did not do what you thought He would do, or what you assumed He said He was going to do. He's not scared of your misconceptions. Because when you open your heart out to Him, you give Him room to touch your heart, to comfort you right there. It might not go away right now, but peace will come. Comfort will come, because you opened up yourself to Him. So even if He chooses not to do what you need Him to do, you've come to a point where you realize He's still who He says He is. But if He has said something, like He has said that He will do something, and you're sure that He said that, what He said, He will do it. Oh, it's taking a while? Watch Him work. Because when He finally does it, you think you know timeline. Oh, this is a God, this is a person who exists beyond space and time. You think you know timeline. You've not met God. You don't know God well. You don't know timeline like God. He knows timeline. He knows what's best. So you choose Him anyway. You choose Him anyway. You lament, you cry, you let it out. You want to trust the Lord, but in this moment it feels like, Lord, what are you doing in my life? I'm in the back seat of this car and you're taking the driver's seat. We are entering bush. Sir, you're not listening. You choose him in that position where you just, God, I don't know what you're doing with my life. It's fine. If he has a word that he has given to you, hold on to it. One thing I call God is a God of integrity. That's what I call him. He is who he says he is, and he does what he says he's going to do. You don't know time like God does. Watch him work. And at every point that you're discouraged, pour out yourself to him. Confide in fellow believers who can understand where you are. Because not everybody can. But let the Lord lead you to the right people who you can pour out your heart to. Or you're going through a heartbreak. There was time I was going through a heartbreak. And I messaged my brother. I've never felt more comforted in that time. I was so in pain. I was crying. And I was like, I feel like I'm gonna die. It was telling me, girl, I've gone through 3 heartbreaks. It never gets easy. He said, my wife laughs at me because she found my YouTube playlist for heartbreak. I had a playlist and all of that. At least I didn't even create playlist. He created playlist for you to know how bad it was, right? It was so much pain that he went through. And he shared that with me to understand I'm not alone in this. Those small things, it gives comfort, keeps you going. And when you come out on the other side of that pain, you look back and be like, whoa, I actually went through that. How am I fine? People will look at you outside. If you talk about what you went through, oh my God, I went through that. And they would look at you like, yikes, how are you fine? It's because God was with you in the fire. You won't smell like the fire you just came out of. So lament. Lament. And let God meet you where you are, so that he can bring you to where he needs you to be. We've come to the end of today's episode. Let me pray for you. Father in heaven, we thank you, we give you praise for this wonderful listener. We worship your holy name for your grace over their lives. We ask that in your strength and in your power, you will help them to get through this journey of life. At any point, whether they are already in a state of grief or when they will ever be in a state of grief, remind them of your goodness. Remind them of your faithfulness. Remind them that you would never leave them nor forsake them. And at the times where what they know is starting to battle with how they feel, help them to see you. Help them to remember you. Help them to choose you, even in everything. We give you praise, Lord. We worship your holy name. In Jesus' mighty name, we're prayed. Amen. All right, thank you very much for watching. I will see you next time. Bye.